general characters of plant viruses. So having the knowledge on general characters or properties of plant viruses will be very essential to understand in detail or in depth of plant viruses for the better management practices. So my name is NH Shankar Reddy and I am doing PhD plant pathology in Annamalai University. So now we'll see properties of plant viruses. So the virus contains only one type of nucleic acid. Virus contains only one type of nucleic acid, that may be DNA or RNA, but never both. So as like of eukaryotic cells and other cells, the virus doesn't contains both genetic material as like a phytoplasma and spiroplasma, whereas those organisms contains both DNA and RNA as a genetic material. But the virus contains only one type of genetic material, that may be DNA. If DNA is present, no other genetic organism materials can be seen in plant viruses. If RNA is present, no other genetic material can be seen. So either DNA or RNA, but never both. So most of the plant pathogenic viruses contains RNA as a genetic material, that too positive single-stranded RNA as a genetic material. So most of the plant viruses contains RNA as a genetic material, that too positive single-stranded RNA as a genetic material. That too almost 78% of the plant viruses have been reported as positive single-stranded RNA as a genetic material. So virus does not contains any cell wall. So as like of bacteria and eukaryotic, so it does not contains cell wall. Instead of cell wall, it contains protein coat. Protein coat in the sense, this is protein coat. Let us consider it as a protein coat. Inside it is a nucleic acid. So this protein coat will protect the nucleic acid. This is protein coat. This is nucleic acid. So this virus doesn't contains any cell wall. Instead of cell wall, it contains protein coat, or this protein coat or capsid is a protective coat that can protect nucleic acid that is present inside. So this protein coat acts as a protective layer. And here, and the amount of protein coat and the amino acid compounds may vary with viruses. So the amount of protein composition as well as the nucleic acid composition maybe varies from plant virus to virus, but there is a general formula to having amount of protein coat as well as the amino acid compositions that we will see in morphology of plant viruses. So viruses neither have any sexual reproduction nor produce any resting spores. So as like a fungi, it don't reproduce by means of sexual reproduction, and also it won't produce any resting spores like as a chlamydospores or sclerotia. It won't produce any resting spores. No sexual reproduction and no resting spores can be observed in virus. And the majority of the symptoms that is produced by viral disease, yellowing, that is mosaic. Mosaic is the most common and general symptom that is produced by the plant viruses, that is yellowing of leaves due to the inhibition of chlorophyll production. What will happen after the first after entering into the plant viruses into the plant system or the host, the first thing that is going to happen is the inhibition of chlorophyll production. So due to that, what will happen, due to the absence of chlorophyll content, the green leaves can be converted into yellowing. That is the first physiological disturbance that happens in the host system. Due to that chlorophyll inhibition of chlorophyll production, the leaves are converted into yellow in color. Then viruses produce symptoms, other symptoms like mosaic, leaf curl or curling of leaves, crinkling as well as a shrinking of leaves, stunting, growth or height of the plant can be reduced. Chlorosis is also yellowing, and the necrosis means which are pluckering like leaves, vein clearing and vein blending. Ination in the sense of downward curling of leaves is called ination. So the different types of these are all the symptoms that is produced by the plant viruses. There is another PowerPoint presentation on exactly on symptoms or general symptoms that is produced by the plant pathogenic viruses. Now we will see in detail in those presentation. And then here virus moves from cell to cell through plasmodesmata. So here the cell to cell, the virus movement or movement of virus can be happens through plasmodesmata. If the plant virus has to move from cell to cell, it can move through plasmodesmata. But one thing what we have to remember is plasmodesmata is smaller than plant virus. Plasmodesmata is smaller than a plant virus, but the virus can produce a movement protein. Virus can produce movement protein. This movement protein can mediates the movement in plasmodesmata, even though the plasmodesmata is smaller than plant virus. Due to the production of movement protein by plant virus, the movement can be happens through plasmodesmata. Here the virus moves 8 to 10 cells per day, or 1 mm in a plant cells approximately per day. The plant virus can move 8 to 10 cells per day, or 1 mm in diameter. The plant virus can move from in plant cells per day. So the plant virus may be transmitted through seeds, or vector, or mechanical transmission, or sap transmission, or vegetative propagative material. So these are all the different types of transmission of plant viruses, where because the plant viruses can't able to transmit in air, or or some other agents, so it strictly needs some agents like seeds or vectors or mechanical transmission to transmit from one area to another area. Among that, vectors can play a major role in transmitting of plant viruses. Vectors in the sense insects. So that plays a major role in transmission of plant viruses. So what are all the enzymes used for the replication of plant viruses? So for the replication of plant viruses required RNA polymerase 1. Remember, it's very important. The enzyme required for the virus replication is RNA polymerase 1. RNA polymerase 1 is the enzyme which is used for the replication of plant viruses. And then there is a short distance and long distance movements can be uploaded. For short distance, that can move through vectors, so vectors can be used for short distance, whereas for long distance, propagative material. For long distance, propagative material, because the propagative materials which are exchange, or which are moved across the borders, so through propagative materials, if the quarantine measures are not proper, so this plant viruses can be can be transmitted or can be transferred from one country to another country through propagative materials. The propagative material may be seeds, or root stalks, or maybe scions, or some other materials which are which actually act as a propagating structures. So the propagating materials can be used for the long distance dissemination or transmission of plant viruses. So they're capable to cause diseases in plants. Remember, the plant viruses can cause diseases in plants, animals, and humans. So the virus can capable to cause diseases in plants, animals, and humans. But remember, if plant viruses which are causing diseases in plants cannot cause any diseases in humans, so human viruses which are causing diseases in humans, they can't cause any diseases to the plants. But we have to understand this point. So plant viruses only restricted to plants, animal virus only restricted to animals. So but one thing that what we have to understand is, so virus in the broad sense, in the broad sense of viruses, so virus can cause diseases to plants as well as animals and humans. So the maximum temperature to kill almost all plant pathogenic viruses ranges from 55 to 70 degrees centigrade. So all plant viruses can be killed at the rate of 55 to 70 degrees centigrade, but there is an exception, that is TMV, tobacco mosaic virus. So tobacco mosaic virus can be killed at the rate of 93 degrees centigrade. So all plant viruses can be, almost all plant viruses can be killed at the rate of 55 to 70, but there is an exception, that is TMV, that can be killed at the rate of 93 degrees centigrade. There may be one or two other plant viruses maybe have a temperature a little bit varies, but all plant viruses can be killed at this temperature, that is 55 to 70. And then viruses requires presence of other viruses. For some viruses like satellite viruses, so they need another viruses or helper viruses for replication as well as the infection. So this type of viruses also will be there. And then I will discuss something, that is a virus having both living and non-living properties. If we really seen history, and W.M. Stanley told one word: virus is a autocatalytic protein. Autocatalytic protein in the sense the virus contains both the properties of living and non-living. Sorry, it contains both living and non-living properties. How we can justify a virus as a living and non-living? Now we will see living characters in the sense it has the ability to cause disease. So it has the ability to cause this in the sense it can be considered as a living, and it can reproduce, it can mutate and have a genetic material. So these are all properties can can be put into one side that it is a living one. On the next side that we can't able to consider it as a living one, the characters like it has no cellular materials or structures. So it doesn't contain any ribosomes, no protoplasmic material or nothing it contains. So enzymatic activities, no enzymatic activities can be observed. Due to that, it can be, it seems to be a non-living one. Then no respiration, as well as moreover the very important thing, it can be crystallized. So one thing, the living things cannot be crystallized, but the virus can be crystallized. So these are all the things that we can we can split into two sectors, that is a living and non-living creature. These are based on these characters that we can consider it as a virus. It has autocatalytic protein in the sense it contains both the nature both the living and non-living properties. And the last one, now we will see the shapes of viruses. So regarding the shapes, we will see in detail and in depth in morphology of plant viruses. So now we'll see in a simple glimpse way, rod shaped in the sense, as I told you earlier, tobacco mosaic virus is a rod shaped. It look like a rod shaped. Example is tobacco mosaic virus and tobacco rattle virus. Fluctuous rod, potato virus X, as I told you in the naming and classification of virus, potato virus X, PVX, potato virus X. In the bean common mosaic, BCMV, bean common mosaic virus stands for BCMV. So in rod shaped there are two types, fluctuous rod, filamentous rod. So examples has been given here, and then isometric example is the rice tumor spherical virus and as well as cucumber mosaic virus. CMV in the sense cucumber mosaic virus. Like this, the abbreviations can be, you have to observe abbreviations also. If you understand, or if you by seeing different types of examples, that will be very easy to understand abbreviations. So tomato spotted wilt virus, tomato spotted wilt virus. One more thing that I forgot to tell you, whatever you can take the virus naming, whatever you can take the virus naming, we can see first they given host name, and they will give they will mention the symptoms name, and then the last one, whatever it is, they will ends with the virus. Let us consider tomato is a host, spotted wilt is the symptoms, the virus. The first one is host, second one is symptoms that is produced by the virus, and the third one is always ends with virus. You can take whatever it is. Cauliflower is a host, mosaic is the symptoms produced by that particular virus, always ends with the virus. Banana is a host, streak is a symptom, virus. Tobacco, host, mosaic, virus, host, symptom, virus. Whatever you can take, it has the same type of naming. Always starts with the host and then symptoms, and then last always ends with the virus. Rice is the host. Tungro spherical, rice spherical, sorry, rice is the host, tungro spherical is the symptoms produced by that particular virus, and then virus is a virus. So these are all the we have to take into consideration. So coming to the shapes, rigid rod shaped, iodometric and bacillus form, that I have given the examples.